If she chooses to mop the floor, then that's all on her. Good girl. All I want is for her to lower the head, and obviously she's doing that, so I'm perfectly fine. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. And my horse is a little bit on the lazy side, um, so I have to, cluck at her every so often or apply a little pressure by moving in closer like this, or I use the whip in a forward up and down motion, not a sideways. Some people seem to confuse that and like switch the whip this way. Not a good idea. You should always use the whip from behind you forward. Good girl. Alright, let's speed her up a little. Trying to wake her up. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. That's what I like to see. Even though she did it to blow her nose, she's still going to get praised. Because, she lowered her head. Good girl. Take her back to her comfy speed walk. And she should stretch out. And there. Hold on, not quite yet. There we go. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Looks like she's thinking about pooping. Good girl. And let's take a break and hold. Hold. Pay close attention to the legs, the position. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, good girl. The position of the legs will tell you a lot. If they're like this, the horse would not be too sure about what it did and what's going on. This position is still not all that great. I'd like to see this leg back a little. Good girl. Perfect. If a horse stops after exercising because you tell it to, and it stands like this, it pretty much indicates that it is very sure of what it has done. It's okay and everything is right. Good girl. Yes, you are. You're a good girl. Yes, good girl. Alright, let's switch directions. Alrighty. Good girl. And I'm going to just let her mosey along. Her neck is nicely stretched. Good girl. And you know your horse better than anybody, so you should know when your horse is to the point that it just can't take any more information in. Good girl. When I first started out with Xena, you could probably put 15 to 20 minutes worth of information into her, and she was on overload. So, never, never, never set your horse up to fail. That's the worst thing you can do is, your horse doesn't understand what you're trying to teach it, so you gotta go at it very slow and gradually. It's just like you're not gonna get up one morning and decide to run a marathon and just go out and kill yourself. Well, the same theory applies to horses. Good girl. Good girl. So let's put her back into a trot. Let's go trot, trot. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Now you notice she'll still have little spurts where she wants to like rip up her head way up in the air. But I'm feeling that she's starting to realize, trot trot, that she's starting to realize that moving will be a lot easier for her if she lowers her head and rounds her back. My horse, for instance, is very voice activated. Doesn't take a whole lot to get her going, but she will try me every once in a while, almost, good girl, almost as if she's saying, are you really sure you want me to do that? You might want to think about that one more time. But that's, you know, horses like easy and next to no effort. But she's not real hard to get going. My horse happens to be somewhat of a perfectionist. Let's move her out a little. Never step in front of your horse, because you are not going to enable your horse to move out if you're stepping in front like this. See? Good girl. Good girl. I moved over a little bit and she took it as, hey, you're in my way, so I need to turn. Good girl. Remember, steering is always first, impulsion is next. So you drive from behind, and obviously to step in front would be to hinder the horse from moving out. Good girl. Let's try this one more time. Stepping in front. Good girl. Stepping in front. Good girl. Stepping in front. Good girl. Good girl. And I would, switch things up. Don't keep everything always just in a circle, and always round. The horse is going to get bored, you're going to get bored. And I can guarantee you, by the time you're bored, your horse has already beat you to that. So keep it interesting. Switch things up, add things to it. Put all the little puzzle pieces together. So your horse can, and you both can feel like you actually accomplished something. So let's move her out a little. Let's get her stepping up a little. Here we go. Good girl. When my horse does that, she's literally arguing with me, which is fine. It's communication. You know what? She's arguing, but at least she's communicating. I don't mind. Good girl. So any communication is fine. If she argues or gets pissy with me, it doesn't matter to me. To me, it's communication. Good girl. Good girl. Alright, back to her comfy speed. And we should see a lot more lower head action. Good girl. There we go. There we go. In this instance, I did not tell her to walk. And walk. Good girl. So that's all I wanted to show you. Is, switch it up. Keep it interesting. Don't always do the same thing, because you guys are going to get bored real quick. So throw a little twist in there and keep things interesting. Don't let your horse be one step ahead of you, because they're smart. They'll figure out exactly what your routine is, and then they'll start to anticipate, oh, right at the gate is where she'll tell me to stop. Right in this corner is where she'll tell me to speed up. And they'll start doing it, and you think, oh, great, my horse read my mind. No, that's not it. Your horse is only, it's kind of like you as a kid when you learn how to read. You just memorized words, but you didn't know how to read. So always keep that in mind, okay? Don't always be a step ahead. And you can tell a whole lot by your horse's ears, by its eyes, body posture, breathing, the tail, everything. I like what I'm seeing about her stepping out. She's perfectly in each step, front to back. I like that. Good girl. When I stop my horse, it's always going to be in a different spot. It will never be in the same spot. Back to back, that is. I mean, I do stop her in the same areas, but never back to back. And ho. And ho. Good girl. Look at the front. Ah, got a little itchy. Look at the front of the legs. And they are perfect. Good girl. What a good girl. Yes, you are. I like the chewing. That's always a good sign of processing. If they lower their head, it's, you know, sign of submission, and I like it. Today went very well, considering as windy as it is. Good girl. And don't let weather like this hinder you from working with your horse, because they have to get used to things flying, things moving around. You know, nothing is always just going to be still and not moving. So, but it takes time. So take your time. Don't set your horse up to fail. And good luck. I mean, just stick to it, and you can accomplish it, okay? Considering this is only the third time that I've done this with her, and my horse is by no means super smart and a super fast learner. Trust me, she's not. But you have to be crystal clear with your requests, how you ask, and what it is you ask for. Good girl. Good girl. You have to be very clear about that. All right? So, this was part 1. And let's get started on part 2.